October 26, 2001. A quiet night in the Polish countryside. A man disappears from his villa. His family receives a ransom demand. They pay $300,000, then more. They do everything right, but their son never comes home. Instead, years later, his body is found in a forest. And then something strange happens. The men convicted for his murder start dying inside their prison cells, one by one. Suicides? Or something else? This is a story of Krzysztof Olewnik, a case where the ransom didn't save a life, and where the justice system itself seemed to unravel. Krzysztof Olewnik was a young man from a wealthy family. He lived in a villa in Świerczyn, a quiet suburb of Drobin. On the night of October 26, 2001, kidnappers broke into his home. They took him. His family was devastated. 2 days later, the kidnappers made contact. They demanded $300,000. The family wanted to pay. They hoped the money would bring him back. But the investigation moved slowly. For months, there was no progress. Then, in January 2003, a letter arrived. It was anonymous. It warned that Krzysztof would be killed, and it gave two names, Ireneusz Piotrowski and Robert Pazik. For the first time, police had real suspects. The family clung to hope. They negotiated with the kidnappers. The ransom changed. It became €300,000. In July 2003, they agreed to a drop. The money was placed in a bag. It was thrown from a highway overpass in Warsaw onto a road below. The kidnappers took it. The family waited, but Krzysztof was not released. The nightmare was only deepening. For the family, time became a torture. Every phone call, every knock on the door, it could be news. But news did not come. The letter had named the killers. It had also said they intended to murder Krzysztof. The family warned police. Still, they could not stop what was coming. The ransom was paid, but what happened next would shatter every hope. On a summer day in July 2003, a car drove onto a highway in Warsaw. Someone inside threw a bag from an overpass. The bag fell onto the road below. The kidnappers collected it. Inside was €300,000. The family had done what the kidnappers asked. They believed this would end the nightmare, but it did not. Instead, on September 5, 2003, two men, Sławomir Kościuk and Robert Pazik, killed Krzysztof Olewnik. They buried his body in a forest. The location was near Rojan, outside Ostrołęka. For 3 years, the body lay undiscovered. The investigation continued. Police followed leads. The names from the letter, Piotrowski and Pazik, were scrutinized. 3 men were eventually charged. Wojciech Franiewski, believed to be the mastermind, and the 2 killers. But the breakthrough came on October 28, 2006. Searchers found human remains in that forest. The site was isolated. The ground was cold. The body was decomposed. It took months to confirm the identity. On March 9, 2010, after an exhumation in January, it was officially confirmed. The remains were Krzysztof's, but before that, the case had already moved to court. In March 2008, Robert Pazik and Sławomir Kościuk were convicted of murder. Both were sentenced to life in prison. The court in Płock delivered the verdict. Then the appeals began. In December 2008, the Warsaw Appeals Court upheld Pazik's life sentence. It seemed justice was done, but the story was not over, because inside the prison something was happening that would cast a dark shadow over the entire case. First, Wojciech Franiewski. In June 2007, while awaiting trial, he was found dead in his cell at the Olsztyn detention center. The official cause? Unknown, but it was the first sign that something was wrong. Then came Sławomir Kościuk. On April 4, 2008, just 4 days after he was sentenced to life, he was found dead in his cell in Płock. He was one of the 2 convicted murderers. The circumstances were suspicious. The authorities said suicide, but questions remained. Then on January 19, 2009, Robert Pazik, the other life-sentenced killer, was found dead in his cell. 3 men, all connected to the Olewnik murder, all dead in custody. The news sent shockwaves through Poland. The next day, the Minister of Justice, Zbigniew Świękalski, resigned. The political fallout was enormous. The case had become a national scandal. In February 2009, the Polish parliament voted to create a special investigative commission. The commission would examine not just kidnapping and murder, but the prison deaths and the handling of the entire investigation. For 2 years, the commission gathered evidence. It interviewed witnesses. It reviewed files. Its hearings were broadcast. The public watched as officials were questioned. In 2011, the commission published its report. The report detailed failures, missed opportunities, possible negligence, but it did not definitively solve the mystery of the deaths. The question of whether these men were murdered or killed themselves or were silenced, that question has never been fully answered. As of today, the Olewnik case remains a cold case, and the sense of unresolved mysteries. The two primary murderers are dead. The suspected mastermind is dead. The justice minister resigned. The parliamentary commission finished its work, but the question persists. Why did these men die in prison? Were they silenced, or was it a string of coincidences? The family of Krzysztof Olewnik continues to seek closure. They have filed complaints. They have pushed for further investigations, but the authorities maintain that the prison deaths were suicides. Critics disagree. They point to the timing, the lack of surveillance, the suspicious circumstances. The case has become a symbol of failure in the Polish justice system. It has been the subject of books and documentaries. The name Olewnik is synonymous with a scandal that exposed deep flaws. Even the exhumation of his remains did not provide definitive answers. The victim's body was buried in Płock on November 4, 2006. His grave is a quiet place, but the story is far from quiet. The unanswered questions echo. What really happened in those prison cells? Who, if anyone, was responsible? And could the murder of Krzysztof Olewnik have been prevented? These are the questions that linger. The case is officially closed, but for those who remember, it is never truly over. So what does the story of Krzysztof Olewnik teach us? A ransom paid, a life taken, 3 men dead in custody, a justice system shaken. The case is a mirror held up to the failures of institutions. It is a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous threads are the ones that remain untied. The mystery lives on. The questions remain, and the family still waits for the full truth. If you found this story as haunting as we did, subscribe to our channel. We explore cases like this every week. Leave a comment with your theory. What do you think happened in those prison cells? Share this video with someone who loves true crime. And remember, the truth is often stranger than fiction, but in this case it might also be darker. Thank you for watching.